Do you want a visionary or do you want someone who can hit targets?
And he's been hitting targets, and it was his vision that allowed us to move to Finland in the first place.
That's done.
Right.
What we need to do is not have a repeat of the drill results that at the beginning of the year.
While we haven't hit the home run on that property yet, we have hit gold in almost all the holes that we've drilled.
Technically, how do you spend $10 million in the best possible way to ensure that you create real value and excitement in the market if you're going to be talking to it? Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. First of all, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like it, give us a thumbs up. That helps us to understand if this is the sort of video that you would like us to be making for you. And you can leave your comments below. It helps us with the types of questions you think we should be asking, how you think we've done, of course, what you thought of Aurion Resources. You can catch this as a podcast transcription or article on cruxinvestor.com. And for our Crux Investor Club members, you get early access to this video and our other services. And if you haven't already done so, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, for more videos like this, click the notification bell. We caught up earlier today with Mark Santarossa, who is the VP for Corporate Development at Aurion Resources. They're a TSX-V gold explorer with assets in Finland. They've got a JV with Kinross and also with B2. We will watch out to see how that develops over the coming months and years. They're looking to develop their own assets with the $10 million that they've got in the bank. So we talked through their business plan strategy, how they even came to be in Finland in the first place, and what their hopes are for the end of this year within these kind of COVID restricted times. So take a look at the description below at some of the topics we discuss. Anything interests you in particular, click on the number beside that topic. That's called timestamp, and that'll jump you to that part of the video. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy what Mark has to say. Hey Mark, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you, Matt?
Not too bad. A bit hot here in the UK, so I'm boiling. What's the weather like with you?
We've got some pretty warm weather here in Toronto as well, but we try to keep cool as much as we can. Thanks again for having me on. It's been a couple of months, so it's great to be back on with you and the Crux team.
Good. Well, we wanted to catch up because I think when we heard the story last, it was sort of intriguing to us. Wanted to understand a little bit more about how you're going to go about making some of these changes that we talked about. But before we do that, why don't we kick off with that 1 minute overview of what it is that you are?
Absolutely. So just a reminder, we're high-grade gold exploration in Finland in what's known as the Central Lapland Greenstone Belt, a major greenstone belt that's very prospective for gold.
Okay, fine. Well, look, maybe that's the place to start here because not many people know Finland. They don't know Scandinavia, but there's a lot going on. There's some pretty big names plowing in. So can we just start with, please, why Finland?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, above other things, number one, it's a great place to work. The Fraser Institute has always ranked it in the top 10 for mining investment. 2019, it was number 2. But aside from that, the geological opportunity is incredible. It's a major greenstone belt on the same scale as the Abitibi that most of us know of, hosting major gold camps like Timmins and Kirkland Lake, as well as Val-d'Or, and then as well as Western Australia with the Norseman Wailuna, or Southern Africa and the Zimbabwe Creighton. But the one major difference that we have in this the Central Lapland Greenstone Belt is a lack of discoveries to date. If you think about the Abitibi or Western Africa, you've got hundreds of millions of ounces that have been discovered in those two major greenstone belts, where you don't have that yet in the Central Lapland Greenstone Belt. And why is that? You just don't have 100 years of exploration history. Mining and exploration started in the Abitibi in Western Australia over 100 years ago. Exploration was in the state hands up until about 1995. So you've only got a couple of decades, and so that's why you haven't had the major discoveries. To date, you've only got one big discovery, and that's Agnico's Kittilä mine, and that's really it. And so when you think about the perspective or the opportunity, the chances of finding a big deposit are here, where no one has actually looked for it yet. The geology is right, the structures are right. It's exactly where you want to be when it comes to finding a major gold deposit.
Okay, so tell me about that, because it's really important that I believe this. So when you're comparing it to Abitibi, which is world-renowned, when you're comparing it to Western Australia, Wailuna, world-renowned, and even West Africa, Greenstone Belt, world-renowned. But so why do you get to make those sorts of comparisons? What is known about this district in Finland?
So what was been missed and a few things. So why you haven't had major exploration? So the state-run mining company did explore, but they were exploring for base metals. They actually made gold discoveries, but took all that information and filed it and archived it, and it was left kind of untouched. That's the first. Second, I mean, why is it the right? It's the right age of rocks. We are talking rocks that are several, almost 2 billion years old, similar to the Abitibi, similar to the Western Australia. So we're talking about the same age of rocks, same types of rocks that you've got in both of, and then you've got structural features as well. In particular, what we've locked up. We've locked up an 80-kilometer section of a 125-kilometer long crustal scale fault. That's actually the equivalent of the entire Porcupine Desert fault or the entire Cadillac Larder Lake deformation zone in Canada. So that's why we feel that we're onto something that looks very similar to what most of us Canadians know is the Abitibi. Structure and geology are very, very similar, and we know there's gold there because the GTK, or the state-run geological survey, has actually already discovered gold on that, with numerous occurrences that they had discovered on there but never followed up on.
Okay, so tell me a bit about the team behind why you've ended up there. I noticed Matti, Talikka has come on recently, so yep. I guess he didn't drive you there. So who was it?
Well, interestingly enough, so it was Mike Basher, who's our founder and president. He's continuing on, and it was his vision. It's his knowledge. He's actually an incredible geologist and has made several discoveries already around the world, including co-discovered the Haverdown deposit in Newfoundland, I believe it is. But he saw these rocks in a similar setting to what has been seen in Timmins and in Kirkland Lake. And went to Finland and went and staked ground, bought some pieces of land, again making small deals very quietly while no one was there. You did have, and then you had some small companies, but part of the issue why we don't think a lot of big Canadian exploration companies came in early on was mainly because, one, it was 1995 was your first chance to get in. Soon after, you had Bre-X and a collapse in kind of junior exploration, and there was very little mining investment globally going on anywhere. And then you have the Canadian experience of north of the Arctic Circle. You think of Nunavut and the Northwest Territories, and the challenges it is to get there. It's very expensive. It's usually fly in, fly out camps. It's very expensive just to even set up a camp there, never mind the exploration itself. And so what that probably did is it deterred Canadian explorers from going to Finland above the Arctic Circle. Now, that's not the case, because the Arctic Circle in Finland is actually 20 degrees Celsius warmer on the average in January. And that's a function of the Gulf Stream. So we don't have permafrost. We have paved roads right to site. We have excellent access. And so it allowed us to stake a lot of great land, and that's why you didn't have any major discoveries for a long time up until now. Some of our neighbors have had some great success. Rupert Resources, who's drilled a couple of great holes and discoveries right on our property boundary with our JV B2 Gold, and we've made a discovery ourselves and a number of surface discoveries as well, and of course there's Agnico, who's been very successful in our neck of the woods.
I think so. Yeah, there's obviously a few big names in there now, but better known to the European investor audience than North American. But and you name dropped a few people, and we'll come back to those later. So again, following on from I don't want to go over too much ground which we discussed last time. You just said that you started off as prospectors and now looking to be explorers. That's kind of your the niche of where you sit. So if you don't mind, could you just talk about that business model for us in your own words? What is it you're trying to be, and at what point do you sort of take projects to, and what's your game plan for the company?
So we're looking to, we've got JVs that we've got with some excellent partners, Kinross and B2 Gold, and they're moving those along. But we've also got 100% land that we're doing all the work ourselves. We're currently drilling. We've been drilling on them since about 2017, late 2017, and we've made one major discovery in our view on our property, but we think there's a lot more to do. And so we are taking it to, well, we're still in the exploration phase, early exploration phase as far as I'm concerned. We've made one discovery, and we think our property is right to make a number of more discoveries on it, all within a small area. And that's kind of our task, and our goal is to uncover as much as possible within a small enough area to show how big the opportunity is to one of the majors, and hopefully at some point, we either sell to a major and create value to shareholders that way, or if we have to, we will take it to the next level.
Okay, so let's talk about back in BT. You've got two big companies you're working with there. What's happening on those particular assets? What's the upside for you, and at what point do you start to monetize that relationship?
Right. So on our B2 Gold joint venture, they're currently earning into about 70% of the property. We are free carry on everything. B2 Gold is spending money so they've already executed on the first 51%. That would happen in August of 2019. They spent $5 million and issued a number of B2 Gold shares, which we currently own. And they're now spending $10 million over 2 years, so starting through 2020 and 2021, to earn up to 70% on their properties. They're currently drilling, and they should have some assays out on some of those properties in the next weeks, within a month. And the Kinross property, they're also running into 70%, also free carry. There is no step. They're earning directly in the 70% on that, and they're currently drilling as well, or they've just recently drilled as well.
Okay. So this comes to your properties, something that you're in control of. So how much money have you got today?
Yep, we've got about $10 million in the bank, and so we're fairly well funded still. Our burn rate, because of COVID, has actually slowed down a bit. We are trying to ramp that up a little bit, but we are drilling. We just have a rig just come back on site, and it's targeting a new geophysical discovery or anomaly on our property. 6 kilometers of drilling that we're going to be doing, along a 6 kilometer long trend, connecting our Amarusco discovery to another one of our surface discoveries. And so we're going to be drilling along that. And then we've got a second rig hopefully coming in early September to drill test one of our other targets on our 100% owned property. Okay,
right. So with regards to Kinross and the BT component, is there any more cash flow coming in, or have you got to make this 10 million last as long as you can? Would you need to go and raise some money anytime soon?
The way we look at capital raising, we try to manage our money very well. So that's why we don't have 5 or 6 rigs turning at the same time. It can get very expensive, and we haven't made an easy, efficient discovery to drill, or something that we could drill easily and efficiently. We're just wasting money. So there's no money coming in from Kinross or B2 Gold for the JVs. They're just at this point, it's just their exploration spend. The 10 million will last us into 2021. But of course, we're tactical. And if there's an opportunity if the exploration warrants expansion, then we may go look to the market and see if there's capital available. But that's all results based.
Tell me about what happened at the beginning of this year, because your shares dropped off the face of the cliff. COVID did come along, and you made a bit of a recovery, but you're not back up to the heights you were or beyond, which is happening up to a lot of other gold explorers, developers, and producers in the current marketplace. Where do you think your money's gone?
Yeah, we agree. We've lagged a bit. So what happened early in the year was we drilled our second flagship. So we had 2 flagship assets. The second flagship, we only got the exploration license early in 2019 and did all of our work there. It was the first 6 holes that we drilled on it. While they were as the geologists would call them, a technical success, we hit a little bit of gold in them, but it wasn't what we had been expecting. And I think it wasn't what the market was expecting. I think that's the bigger thing. The market was expecting something more, given what we had on surface and what we were recovering on surface from samples there. So that was the major sell-off. And I think the market really, really penalized us for that miss. But I think they also forgot, when they took us down to that level, that was actually a discount us to before our Boulder discovery in 2017. So it wiped out almost 3 years of our efforts. Looking forward, or from that moment on, yes, we had COVID and things kind of slowed down, but we do have a team on site still. They're Finnish consultants. They're still working. They've been working throughout the entire COVID crisis, and so we have been advancing it. I think what the market has penalized us for is just being slow with information, slow with news, and we have been in the past. Part of that was our primary target, Amarusco, which is on our Risti property, where we made our discoveries, required a helicopter, and it was just slow drilling, inefficient drilling, and so it just took time. We're trying to change that by targeting prospects that are in flat areas that do not require a helicopter, which we have a number of. Of course, our major discovery was made on the only hill on our property, but so we are focused on getting news out faster, which should bring the shareholders back. And I think that was the main of all the complaints or any sort of negative that we had, was we just weren't newsy enough. And you watch some of our peers, they just talk about increasing their drill program by 50% and their stock went up 30% kind of thing, right? So that's, I think, has been the lag on our part.
So what's the significance of Matti Talikka coming in?
Matti's been with us, and he's been on the board since 2015, and so he's been kind of been part of the team the entire time. The significance is, Matti is a Finnish national. He's while he lives in Canada, but he is a Finnish national. Can travel back and forth freely. He's well known in the exploration world in Finland. So he's worked in Finland for a number of years. Worked for Outotec, worked for Dragon Mining, who we actually purchased our first property, Kudavoma, back in 2015. So he's been around for a while. He's well known there. He's also very technical as well. But what it does is it allows Mike to be the visionary that he is. Mike was, he's the founder and the visionary, and it's kind of his vision that he sees on what this property can be. So this frees Mike up to do a lot of the exploration and targeting and really thinking about where he wants to point the drills and where we should be going. While Matti will take on a lot of the administrative role, the more community relations role, the logistical role in country. And of course, it also bodes very well in country to have a Finnish leader of a company when you're working in country. It just works really well for community relations.
Okay, so that's what Matti's been. He stepped up, as it were, to fulfill that function. I mean, do you want a visionary, or do you want someone who can hit targets?
Well, he's been hitting targets, and it was his vision that allowed us to move to Finland in the first place, and to see that.
But that's done.
How big the opportunity is.
That's done.
Right.
What we need to do is not have a repeat of the drill results that at the beginning of the year. So how do you address that?
Well, we've got the team, and he took the shots that we thought were the best shots, the highest probability shots. But as you can expect, it was only 6 holes in a very small area that were drilled in. So it was not indicative of what the opportunity was. And I think we followed that since with even on that secondary property with some very interesting results in our last press release. And so we're pretty excited about what that opportunity is as well. So while we haven't hit the home run on that property yet, we have hit gold in almost all the holes that we've drilled.
Technically, what we need to do is have some economic success. So how do you spend $10 million in the best possible way to ensure that you create real value and excitement in the market if you're going to be talking to it?
Right. And so where the 10 million, and again, the whole 10 million isn't going to this, but part of that $10 million is going back to our flagship property, Risti, which is about 10 kilometers away. And it's drilling on the extension from our already known discovery, which is the Amarusco prospect on Risti. And it's drilling eastward from there along a structural target where we've done extensive work and that we know there's gold on the structure. And then the second target that we're drilling on is something that has historical drilling, about 130 holes that have all got ore grade or width, only drilled to, deepest hole is 140 meters deep. Most of the holes are less than 100 meters deep, and structurally sound, geologically sound. And we know there's gold there because the gold has been hit in the past. There's 130 holes already into it. So we are targeting very targets that we believe are very economic.
In the sense that they're high grade veins that you're chasing, very, very high grade veins that you're chasing.
Yes. High grade, very, very near surface, all starting at surface. And as anyone would know, anything in the Abitibi goes for kilometers deep. So we're literally just scratching the surface on our properties.
Well, that's what I want to get to. So why wouldn't you have started there rather than, what you've obviously spent a little bit of money on towards the end of last year? Because you've got to work the market, or companies do this thing, they balance between, doing the right thing technically or doing the right thing in terms of the market. And that's a balance that you guys have got to get right. But you needed some good news stories. I mean, these drill results have got to work for you now. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And we believe they will. These are high probability targets that we're going after.
Right. Okay. So talk to me about, the kind of share structure, the corporate structure. It seems to be very sort of institutional heavy for a company of your size. I mean, why is that?
Yeah, we've early on we got involved with some of the big precious metals institutions in Canada. So RBC, Global Asset Management, Mackenzie, and they've been strong holders and been very good followers of the name. I think what it is that they see, like others and like ourselves, is that this is an opportunity to get into a major gold camp, an emerging major gold camp, similar to something like I said, the Abitibi, but they're 100 years ago. Now we're not going to take 100 years to prove out what we've got, but everyone would want to have their name associated with that kind of a discovery and that kind of opportunity, and I think that's why they've come in as early as they have. Eric Sprott was really excited by some of our results last year, which is why he came in, and he's in at above where the price is right now.
Yeah, but he was spreading a lot of cash around last year.
This year still is.
Absolutely, but these are just bets. So nice to have his name associated with it. But I'm trying to get is the meat of where the confidence comes from. Obviously, with Kinross. And B2, they've come in and they're taking a punt. For them, it's all relative money for them. Right. So what are you learning from them?
So from them, like Kinross, Newmont Gold Corp, who's also a shareholder, and B2 isn't a shareholder, but they're a JV partner. They came in and saw what we saw. They walked the ground. They saw early on walked around, saw the boulders in this incredible these multiple boulder fields with very high grade quartz veins sitting on surface, and they saw that this is something they've never seen before in the history of in their history as being geologists and all the projects they've looked at. They've never seen anything like this on this scale and in this grade sitting at surface, and which is why they got involved and why they continue to be involved. Kinross has participated on every financing that we've done ever since they came in 2017 pro rata.
I mean, in this environment, I've seen companies get financed which just shouldn't be getting financed. The fundamentals don't stack it, but there's a lot of money slushing around. You're not tempted to go and get a bunch more money and scale this thing up, get things moving quicker. Yeah, it's an iterative process for us. We don't want to go and just raise capital for the sake of raising capital and diluting shareholders. I think what we want to do is, as mentioned, get onto a target that we know that we can continue to drill and accelerate. So, we'll start with one rig, and then if we have success with that one rig, then we'll go out and we'll accelerate that drilling, and we'll look to raise capital to accelerate that drilling at that time. But it's with success and not just raising capital for the sake of raising capital. Okay. Are you nervous at the moment that the market isn't seeing what you're seeing? You think that's fixable?
No, it is fixable. I'm not that nervous. I think this is partly on our shoulders and the slowness of news that we put out, and I realize that, and that's part of the reason why I'm picking up and they brought me in, was to be out there a bit more, tell the story a little bit more. But the most important part is we need to be drilling, and of course we're doing that now, and with drill results come news, and with news comes me talking more. So
okay, well look, thanks for the catch up, and it's a nice run through of where you're at, and we did speak, it was a couple of months ago, and we need to kind of see more, as you say. You need to get out there, start drilling. Is the crew still back in Canada, or have you got people back in the field now?
No, so we've always had someone in the field. So we've had our Finnish contractors there. We've got a couple of excellent geologists that are leading the charge from there. We have regular calls just as updates, and so our Canadian team is still working remotely. We are working to get them back there now, and so that will also debottleneck a few things with the smaller team of consultants that are contractors we have in country. It slowed things down a little bit as well during this period, but we'd like to get our team back in there. So we're still not there yet, but we are operating. We do have a team working in country.
Okay, well, look, Mark, thanks for the update. I'd be intrigued to hear from you again as things start to move, because I'm interested in Finland. It looks like a jurisdiction which is obviously open for mining. It's a question of you and a few others kind of proving that it is the Abitibi or the Western Australia equivalent for Europe. So we'll speak to you again soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Matt. Have a great day.